Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the virtual pre-registration orientation advising modules for newly admitted Faculty of Science students at McGill University. And this module is aimed specifically at students who are admitted with any academic background other than the Quebec CEGEP deck. If you come from a Quebec CEGEP, there's a different set of modules for you, which you can find on the Faculty of Science student website. Thank you. As usual, or as I've said before, my name is Nicole Allard. I'm the Director of Advising Services for the Faculty of Science. This module is part 2, where I'm going to talk about some of the policies and procedures specific for science students, undergraduate science students specifically, actually, to help you figure out some of the different rules and practices that are relevant to your degree here at McGill. Okay. So I'm going to start with what we call the SU grading option. Now, this is a bit of a tease because, in fact, the SU grading option isn't available to students in the freshman program. So for those of you who are coming into the freshman program, which means you don't have, which means you have no advanced standing or you have fewer than 24 advanced standing credits. So if you're coming into U0, which is what we call the freshman program, you can't actually choose this grading option yet. If you're coming into U1, it will be available. Either way, I'm going to explain it to you all so that you know for the future. So the SU grading option. SU stands for satisfactory and unsatisfactory. It's similar to the concept of pass-fail grading with some important differences. Essentially, with SU grading, it's a choice made by an individual student. It's a grading option that you choose to apply to a course. It's not the professor who chooses that everybody in the course will get this, pass-fail. It's you choosing to convert whatever letter grade the professor gives you to SU before it shows up on your transcript. So you choose this on the Minerva registration module. You have to choose it during the course change period. You can't choose it afterwards, so you can only make this choice up until September 15th. After that, you cannot change your mind. That's the first important thing to know. In terms of what it means, so you choose this, let's say you choose this grading option on Minerva. You're the only one who knows that. The professor doesn't know you've chosen a different grading option. So the professor will give you a grade, a regular letter grade from A, B, or C, the same as everybody else. You'll know what that grade was. But what happens behind the scenes is after the grade is submitted, it will automatically be converted. So a grade from A to C will automatically be converted to an S for satisfactory. And that's the grade that will show on your transcript, the S. A grade of D or F will be converted to a U for unsatisfactory on your transcript. Now, why would you want to do that? Some students choose to do this because neither grade is calculated into their grade point average. So it's a way to take a course just for credit. If you end up with a grade of S, so you got an A to a C, it's converted to an S for satisfactory, that means you pass the course and you will get the credit for the course. So it counts towards your degree in that you've got the credit. But the grade is not calculated into your GPA, so it won't bring your average up or down. The same if you get a U. If you get a U, it stands for unsatisfactory. It means you didn't pass the course. But the only thing that happens is you just don't get the credit towards your degree. That U is not calculated into your grade point average, so it won't bring your average down. So it's really there for students who want to try something new, perhaps outside of their comfort zone. And what's stopping them is a concern that if they don't do well, it might bring down their academic average. So this is a way to make it a little safer for you to try something, to stretch yourself a bit. And that's sort of the underlying reason for the SU option. Now, there's various rules applied to that. As I said, you have to choose it during the course change period. That's the first 2 weeks of class. You cannot change your mind about it after that. So it has to be selected by, this year it would be September 15th at the latest. After that, you can't change your mind. The other main rule about it is you cannot use this option on any course that is being used to fulfill a program. You can use this only for electives. Now remember, we defined what those were on the last module, module number 1. So an elective is a course that is not going towards your freshman program or your major or your minor. It's a free elective. Those are the only courses for which you can choose SU. Finally, you can only choose this for a maximum of 10% of the number of McGill credits you have to take for your degree. So if you come in with no advanced standing at all and you have to do 120 credits at McGill, you would be allowed to do SU on a maximum of 12 credits, and they would all have to be electives. Let's say you come in with a full year of advanced standing and you only have 90 credits left to do at McGill. Then you can only choose SU on 9 credits of electives in your whole degree. So that's what we mean by 10% of your McGill credits. Now, remember, this isn't actually available to freshman students, but you can park it in the back of your mind for next year. Okay. We have some rules about electives. So when you're choosing your electives, and remember, those are courses that aren't part of a major or a minor or a freshman program. When you're choosing your electives, you can take absolutely anything offered by the Faculty of Science, and you can take absolutely anything offered by the Faculty of Arts. The Faculty of Arts at McGill includes departments that cover areas of social science, humanities, languages, that sort of thing. So you can do anything at all in those. You don't have to ask for permission. You can just take them. But if you were looking for an elective in another faculty, that might be, say, management or education or engineering, then there are some rules. So you're limited to a maximum of 18 credits of electives outside of the faculties of arts and science. So other than courses in arts or in science, you can do up to 18 credits of electives in other things like management or education or stuff like that. That's one thing. The other rule is there are only specific courses for which you will get credit in those other faculties. And if you go to this website here, sorry, I'm pointing, that's not going to help. If you go to this website, you'll be able to find a list of courses that you're allowed to take for credit in other faculties. So if you want to take one of the courses on that list, you just register, you're fine. There's another list of courses in other faculties you're not allowed to take. So don't register for those, you won't get credit for them. If you want to take a course, let's say in management, that's not on either list, then you would write to your academic advisor and just say, look, I want to take this course. I will review it, or your academic advisor will review the course and will let you know whether it's acceptable or not, and then we'll put that course on one of those 2 lists. So those are the steps for looking at electives outside of the faculties of arts and science. But if you're mostly interested in the social sciences, science, humanities, languages, that kind of thing that's all offered within Faculty of Arts or the Faculty of Science, you're fine. You don't have to ask anybody. Okay. Some information about final exams. Normally, the final exam schedule will be posted sometime in October. I'm saying normally because I'm not sure that's going to happen this year, but I'm expecting it will. So let's just assume that for now. Yeah, don't book travel before the exam schedule. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about this second point because you're going to, this entire semester, this fall will be offered remotely. So it doesn't actually matter where you are when you write the final exam, but make sure that you will be somewhere in front of a computer. So you will be able to write the final exam. And I guess we can kind of ignore the rest of this, but normally when we're back on campus and life returns to normal, please understand that you have to wait for the final exam period to be posted before you book your flight home. Because normally saying, oh, sorry, I've got a flight, can I write that exam earlier, will not be an acceptable reason. So that's for later, not so much for this term, because I don't really think that'll be an issue this term. Okay. Deferring final exams. Well, that could happen either way. Sometimes we find ourselves unable to write a final exam due to illness or some other, serious reason. Um, then you can apply to defer the final exam. That means you don't write it at the time when it's scheduled in December, but instead you will write it during the reading break in first week of March. So if that happens, if you come down with the flu and you just can't write your exam, then you would apply on Minerva to defer it. And normally we will ask you might be asked to provide some documentation supporting the request. You might not. It depends. Normally with your first request, you won't be asked to provide supporting documentation. And you make the request online to Minerva, and it goes to what's called Service Point, and they make the decision. The professor offering the exam doesn't have the authority to allow you to defer it, nor does the professor have the authority to allow you to write it at a different time. So really, the professor can't make any changes to the date of his final exam for individual students. It has to go through Minerva. And yeah, and then you would write the exam during the deferred exam period, which is not exactly 3 months later. It's more like a month and a half, I guess. Yeah, it's during the reading break in March. And again, your academic advisor can help you to figure this out. What if you get sick for a midterm exam, or when an assignment is due and you won't be able to hand it in on time? Then you have to talk to the professor. So the professor makes the decisions about everything during the course, so midterm exams and assignments, and Service Point makes the decision regarding the final exam only. So if it's during the course, you contact the professor, let them know you're sick, you can't write the midterm. They may ask you for documentation, or ask them if you can have an extension on an assignment because you were sick. Again, they might ask for documentation. And then the professor will accommodate you in some way, assuming, this is all true, right? So if you're sick, then the professor will accommodate you in some way. It might be with a makeup exam. He might reweight things so that, let's say there's a second midterm and you had to miss the first one. Well, they might put the weight of that on the second midterm or share it between the second midterm and the final. But some kind of accommodation will be granted to you so that, you don't end up failing the assignment or the exam that you had to miss. If they're reweighting things, so if the professor says, that's okay, there's no makeup for this midterm, but I'll just take the 20% that's normally on this midterm and put it on something else, they can do that, provided they're not making your final exam worth more than 75% of your overall grade. Now, I know that's a lot of detail, so if you're wondering whether it's okay or you're not sure you're comfortable with the arrangements, talk to your academic advisor, they'll let you know. But understand that the method of accommodation, the way the professor is going to accommodate you, it's not really negotiable. The professor has to decide one way that he or she will accommodate all students in the same situation. There aren't different accommodations for different students. So a professor might decide, for everybody who misses my midterm, I have a makeup midterm. Or she might decide, for everybody who misses midterm 1, I'm just going to put the weight of it on midterm 2. So that's up to the professor. Again, I sincerely hope it never happens to you that you have to do any of this, but if you're concerned, you're not sure what to do, talk to your academic advisor. We'll be able to help you through it. Okay. Finally, what about getting extensions for assignments? In the same way, if you have to miss a midterm, you can do the same thing. You can ask your professor for an extension to an assignment. Can I hand it in a little bit later? Again, if there's illness or stuff like that, then they may ask you for documentation. But it's pretty much the same process. And if the extension goes beyond the day, the end of the term, let's say they say, well, I'll give you an extension until middle of March for a fall course, then instead of you're going to get a temporary grade on your transcript, and that's a K. It just means incomplete. It's sort of a temporary holding grade saying the professor gave you permission to extend this paper, and your grade will show up when the paper's handed in. And usually when a professor gives you an extension, they give you a new deadline. It's not sort of whenever you want, but they'll give you a new deadline. And again, if you need any more information, that's what your advisor's for. We often get this question: can I do extra work to raise my grade after the fact? So I got a D or a C and I want to bring it up. The answer is no. Not unless the professor wrote that on their syllabus that was available to you at the very beginning of the course and outlined exactly who could and could not do extra work to raise their grade. So you can't, if you individually go to a prof and say, can I do something to bring up my grade, please, I'll do another assignment, can I, do something? No, the professors are not allowed to let you do that. And that's because we feel it's important for every student to be aware of that option. And if it's not there, then it's not an option. And you should know that it's pretty much never there. It's almost never available. And there's really no exceptions to this. So extra work to raise your grade almost never happens. If it's available, it will be written on the syllabus at the beginning of class. And if it's not there, then it's just not an option. Okay. Can I choose not to declare my advanced standing or transfer credits? Normally, no. But this year, due to the extraordinary circumstances created by COVID-19, we will let you choose not to declare your advanced standing credit. So if you've got credit, say for advanced placement exams or for your IB or from your A levels, and you really feel that even though you completed a particular course, it was just last term, and you don't feel confident in where you're at, then we will let you not declare it. In other words, we'll let you repeat it at McGill for credit. I'm going to get in, there's sort of more details around this that I want to explain. So the details about all of this will be provided in person via Zoom at the orientation session on Thursday. Now that's for advanced standing credits. Transfer credits from other universities, no, those you have to declare, and we'll be giving you the credits for those. But advanced standing, so that's stuff you did as either that's your A levels, your international bac, your French bac, your German abitur, your advanced placement exams, those, yes, you can choose to repeat at McGill for credit just by saying, look, I don't want to declare them. I don't want them on my transcript. But I'll explain that in a lot greater detail Thursday morning. Okay. Are there any other rules or procedures I haven't mentioned? Possibly. I may have forgotten some. I don't think I did, because if I thought I did, I'd have mentioned it. But you really should read the university regulations and general information and about the Faculty of Science sections in our e-calendar. And that's at www.mcgill.ca/study, because you'll find all of our policies and rules there. You can also look in the Welcome to Science booklet that I referred to in Module 1, also called the BSc Orientation booklet. You can find it here. And I really encourage you to download that and read that. It covers everything we need you to think about for now. Great. And that's the end of this module. Thank you very much for joining me. And I look forward to seeing you soon for the next modules, as well as seeing you on Thursday. Bye.